A few years ago, if somebody had told me that one of the most effective things I could do to improve my sleep was go for a walk, I probably wouldn't have believed them. Then I started looking at the research, and what surprised me wasn't that walking helped people sleep. Most people already know exercise can make you feel tired. What surprised me was how consistently researchers were finding improvements in sleep quality, insomnia symptoms, and daytime alertness from something as simple as regular physical activity. In this video, I want to explore whether walking can genuinely improve sleep. Today, I want to focus on something almost every aspect of health depends on: sleep. I'm Leon Figures, and I'd like to thank you for taking time to watch this video. If you enjoy the content, find it useful, or think it may help somebody else, consider hitting the like button, subscribing to the channel, and sharing it with someone who may benefit from it. Can walking improve sleep quality? Can it help people fall asleep faster? Can it reduce insomnia symptoms? And could one of the simplest activities available help us get the restorative sleep many of us struggle to achieve? Let's look at the evidence. One of the strongest pieces of evidence I came across was published in Frontiers in Psychiatry in 2021 by researchers led by Dr. Z. It was a systematic review and meta-analysis. Instead of looking at a simple study, the researchers gathered multiple high-quality studies and analysed them together. Think of it like this: if one study is a single witness, a systematic review is multiple witnesses all describing the same event. That gives us more confidence in the findings. The researchers wanted to answer a relatively simple question: what effect does exercise have on sleep? Specifically, they examined outcomes such as sleep quality, insomnia severity, and daytime sleepiness. These are all important because sleeping well isn't just about numbers of hours you spend in bed. Sleep quality matters too. How quickly you fall asleep matters. How often you wake up matters. And how refreshed you feel the next day matters. Most people have experienced nights where they technically spent 8 hours in bed but still woke up feeling exhausted. Sleep quality matters, and this is where the findings became interesting. The researchers found that regular exercising consistently improved sleep quality. It also reduced insomnia severity and reduced daytime sleepiness by moving their bodies, and that movement appeared to influence their sleep. Now, before anyone misunderstands me, this doesn't mean walking is a cure for insomnia. Sleep problems can be incredibly complex: stress, anxiety, depression, sleep apnea, medical conditions, medications, shift work, parenthood, life. All sorts of things can interfere with sleep. But what this research suggests is that physical activity may be one of the tools available to us, and perhaps a more powerful tool than many of us realize. Now let's stop for a moment and ask an obvious question: why would walking improve sleep? Part of the answer appears to be that sleep is influenced by what happens throughout the day. Many people think sleep begins when they just get into bed. Researchers increasingly recognize that sleep begins much earlier than that. It begins when you wake up. The body builds something called sleep pressure throughout the day. The longer we remain awake, the greater the pressure becomes. Physical activity appears to contribute to that process. Walking requires energy. Walking increases energy expenditure. Walking creates a greater demand for recovery, and recovery is exactly what sleep provides. In simple English, a body that moves often appears more ready to sleep. Researchers have also suggested that exercise may help regulate circadian rhythms. Your circadian rhythm is essentially your internal body clock. It influences when you feel alert, when you feel sleepy, when hormones are released, when the body expects rest. Walking, particularly outdoors, exposes us to natural daylight, and daylight is one of the most powerful signals influencing that internal clock. Think about how many people spend most of their days indoors: artificial lighting, computer screens, offices, cars, shops, homes. Then they wonder why sleep feels disrupted. The body evolved under natural light-dark cycles. Walking outdoors may help reconnect us to these signals. In many ways, a morning walk may be one of the simplest ways to tell your body when it's supposed to be awake, which makes it easier for it to recognize when it's supposed to sleep. Now let's zoom out even further, because sleep isn't just about feeling less tired than tomorrow. Sleep influences almost every aspect of health. Researchers have linked chronic sleep deprivation with increased risk of obesity. type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, depression, impaired immune function, and even premature mortality. Think about that. Many people focus entirely on nutrition and exercise while neglecting sleep, yet sleep influences both. Poor sleep increases hunger, poor sleep can increase cravings, poor sleep can reduce motivation to exercise, poor sleep can impair decision making. In many ways, sleep sits at the center of the entire health equation. That's one reason I find these walking studies so interesting, because if walking improves sleep, it may indirectly improve many other aspects of health at the same time. Once again, we see the same pattern. Walking rarely improves one thing in isolation. It improves multiple systems simultaneously. Let's see whether other researchers have found similar results. And they have. One particularly interesting study came from Japan. Researchers led by Hori examined the effects of walking intervention in working adults. The sort of people watching this video, people with jobs, deadlines, responsibilities, stress. The researchers introduced a walking program and then examined various sleep outcomes, and what they found was encouraging. Participants who increased their walking tended to experience improvements in sleep. Some findings suggested people fell asleep faster, others suggested improvements in overall sleep duration. Now that may not sound revolutionary, but think about how many people struggle to switch off at night, how many people lie in bed staring at the ceiling, how many people spend 30, 40 minutes or an hour trying to fall asleep. Anything that reduces that struggle matters, because sleep isn't simply about duration, it's about efficiency too. Now, what I particularly liked about this study was that it reflects real life. The intervention wasn't extreme, they were simply becoming more active. We see the same pattern emerging. The benefits don't appear to require perfection, they appear to require movement. Now let's look at another piece of supporting evidence. Researchers led by Wang examined the effects of daily walking exercise on sleep quality in healthy young adults, and once again, the researchers observed improvements in sleep quality. Different country, different participants, different researchers. Yet, the findings pointed in the remarkably similar direction. Walking appeared capable of improving sleep. Now, this is where things become particularly interesting, because when researchers repeatedly observe similar findings across different populations, confidence in those findings begins to grow. And that's exactly what we see in sleep research. Again and again, physical activity appears associated with better sleep outcomes. Researchers have also examined walking and sleep in older adults. One study involving older women with mild sleep impairment investigated what happened after a session of light intensity walking. The researchers observed improvements in several sleep-related outcomes. Now, this was a smaller study, so we shouldn't place too much weight on it by itself, but it adds to another piece of the puzzle. Different researchers, different age group, different countries. Yet, the findings continue pointing in the same direction. Walking appears capable of supporting healthier sleep. Now let's take a step back, because there's another aspect of sleep that often gets overlooked: stress. Many people think they have a sleep problem. What they have is a stress problem. Their body is tired, but their mind isn't. The body wants sleep, the brain wants to solve problems. Bills, relationships, work, health concerns, family issues. The mind keeps running, and sleep becomes difficult. Researchers have repeatedly observed that walking appears capable of helping regulate stress response. Walking may reduce levels of perceived stress. Walking may improve mood. Walking may reduce anxiety symptoms. And if you've watched one of these previous episodes in this series, you'll know the evidence supporting that is surprisingly strong. That matters because stress and sleep have a complicated relationship. Stress disrupts sleep. Poor sleep increases stress, which then further disrupts sleep. It becomes a vicious cycle. Walking appears capable of helping interrupt that cycle, not because it eliminates problems, but because it may improve how we respond to those problems. And that's an important distinction. Now let's talk about something many people experience: daytime fatigue. There is a common misconception that if you feel tired, you should conserve energy, move less, rest more, relax. Sometimes that's appropriate, but sometimes the opposite is true. Sometimes inactivity creates more fatigue, not less. Researchers examining exercise and sleep frequently observe improvements in daytime alertness. Poor people sleep better. Then people, they feel better the following day. Then they move more. Then they sleep better again, and it becomes a positive cycle. And that's one of the things I find fascinating about walking. It rarely improves just one thing. Walking may improve sleep. Better sleep may improve mood. Improved mood may increase activity. Increased activity may improve cardiovascular health. Better cardiovascular health may improve energy. One positive change often creates another, and another, and another. Interestingly, sleep has never really been one of my major struggles. I'm one of those people who can fall asleep almost anywhere. I fall asleep in cinemas. I've even fallen asleep standing up. If I'm genuinely tired, I can fall asleep halfway through a conversation. It drives people around me mad. But that doesn't mean I've never experienced sleep related issues. Years ago, I was diagnosed with a mild form of sleep apnea. Girlfriends would often tell me that I snored heavily and occasionally stopped breathing during the night. I eventually got investigated and was told the most effective thing I could do was to lose weight. As I lost the weight, became more active, improved my overall health, those symptoms improved dramatically. I can't tell you exactly how much of that improvement came from walking specifically. What I can tell you is that walking became a major part of the healthier lifestyle that ultimately improved my overall health. The closest I have come to genuinely poor sleep was during periods of intense stress. In fact, the platinum hairs on my beard appeared during one particularly stressful period of my life. I leave them exactly where they are. I don't dye them, I don't hide them. They're a reminder that nothing worth allowing stress to consume you, because I've seen what chronic stress can do to people. And if there's one thing the researchers repeatedly show, is that walking appears capable of helping us manage stress more effectively, which may be one reason it improves sleep as well. Now let's get back to the research. One thing that fascinates me about sleep research is how often researchers discover benefits from relatively modest amounts of activity. We tend to assume that if a little is good, more must be better. Sometimes that's true, sometimes it isn't. The evidence repeatedly suggests that many of the biggest benefits occur when people move from being inactive to being moderately active. That theme keeps appearing throughout this walking series. The longevity research, the cardiovascular research, the mental health research, and now we see it again in the sleep research. The biggest gains often occur when people simply start moving. I find that incredibly encouraging. Better sleep is potentially available to ordinary people, people with jobs, families, responsibilities. Now let's talk about another factor, age, because many people assume poor sleep is simply an inevitable part of getting older. To some extent, sleep patterns do change with age. That is reality. But researchers have repeatedly observed that physical activity remains beneficial across multiple age groups: young adults, middle-aged adults, older adults. The benefits appear remarkably consistent. That matters because accessibility matters. Walking is one of the few forms of exercises that remain available across every decade of life. You simply need the ability to move, and that accessibility may be one of walking's greatest strengths. Now let's discuss something many people overlook. Sleep quality isn't only about nighttime, it's also about daytime behaviours. Many of us spend huge portions of the day sitting at desks, in cars, on sofas, in meetings, looking at screens. The body was never designed for prolonged activity. Researchers increasingly recognize that movement throughout the day may help regulate multiple biological systems linked to sleep: body temperatures, hormones, circadian rhythm, energy balance, stress regulation. All these factors influencing how well we sleep. Walking touches many of them simultaneously. We see the same pattern emerging. Walking doesn't work through one magical mechanism. It appears to work through many mechanisms at once, and that's one reason researchers continue finding benefits. Now here's something I find particularly encouraging. The benefits appear achievable. We're talking about something most people can realistically incorporate into daily life: a walk after dinner, a lunchtime walk, a morning walk. Small opportunities add up. Walking adapts to your life rather than forcing your life to adapt to it. And perhaps that's one reason people stick with it, because consistency matters. A perfect sleep program followed for 3 weeks is less valuable than a simple walking habit maintained for 3 years, and walking excels in that area. Now let's bring everything together. The systematic review led by Z and colleagues found that regular exercise improved sleep quality, reduced sleep insomnia severity, and reduced daytime sleepiness. The Japanese workplace walking study found encouraging improvements in sleep outcomes among working adults. Research involving daily walking interventions has repeatedly demonstrated improvements in sleep quality. Additional evidence suggests walking may help regulate circadian rhythms, reduce stress, and improve biological conditions that support healthy sleep. Different researchers, different countries, different populations, different methods, yet all pointing to remarkably the similar direction. Walking appears to be far more than simply burning calories. Walking appears to be supporting one of the most important biological functions we have, because every benefit we've discussed throughout the series ultimately depends on recovery. Better heart health, better blood sugar control, better mental health, better joint health. Those systems rely on quality sleep, and if walking helps improve sleep, then it may be amplified many of the other benefits that we've already discussed. And that may be one of the most important benefits of walking that many people never think about. And according to a growing body of scientific evidence, walking appears to help. Not because it's extreme, not because it's fashionable, but because it's sustainable. People can do it, and perhaps more importantly, they can keep doing it. That consistency may be exactly why it works. Can walking improve sleep quality? The evidence suggests yes. Can walking reduce insomnia symptoms? The evidence suggests yes. Can walking help people fall asleep more easily and feel more alert during the day? The evidence suggests yes. Can something as simple as regular walking contribute to more restorative sleep? The evidence suggests yes. Walking is free. Walking is accessible, walking is sustainable, and according to a growing body of scientific evidence, walking may be one of the simplest investments you can make in your sleep, because the goal isn't simply living or sleeping longer. The goal is helping the body and mind that carry you throughout life recover as effectively as possible, and walking appears to be one of the simplest, most accessible, and most evidence-backed ways to help make that happen. In the next video, we're going to explore the final benefit in this walking series and look at what the research tells us. You get one body, fuel it properly.